Welcome back, WNST, Towson, Baltimore, and Baltimore Positive, out on the front of the new Strategic Factory gear. Big appreciation for that. We, you know what? We could have gone to Indy this week. We could have, there could have been a whole bunch of opportunities. There still might be next week to talk to my friends in Buffalo or talk to our friends out in Kansas City. But I do love getting together with our friends in Nashville for all sorts of reasons. You know, my background with Barry Trotz and Predators and going down there back in the days of Eddie George. But more than that, the real roots in the soil of everything with all things Tennessee Titans was with the Houston Oilers. And anytime I get together with an old Oiler, whether Al Smith checks in, sometimes Chip Namias checks in on the program, sometimes even Dante Pastorini checks in on the program, but it is always great to go to Nashville. This guy's become a radio sensation down there in the Music City. Once the hit man, now the good guy doing good deeds around town and talking football. We welcome Blaine Bishop back onto the program. And one-time winner of the Ed Block Courage Award Foundation, right? I mean, that's where we met, right?
Yes, no doubt about it, man. It takes me back to playing with a shoulder injury for the whole season, really dislocation of my ligament joint there. So popped.
What year was that for you?
It was early on too, probably my second year in the league.
So I'm going to pop up on Twitter right now. I put this up on Facebook, too. We'll have some fun with everybody. For those who do watch us out here, I'll do a little screen share. There you go, Blaine. There's you and me. And I remember this picture's great. And that's, by the way, it's Budweiser. That was the scoreboard out in left center field, which would have been the end zone for you if you'd never seen a baseball game there. But I watched a lot of baseball. So I was an Oiler fan, Blaine, because I love the colors and the uniforms. And I was 5 years old. My dad took me to a Colts-Jets game, Memorial Stadium. Joe Namath for the Jets. Stan White sacked Joe Namath, separated his shoulder. Jets still won 34-10. The Colts stunk. This is 1973. And on the way out, I saw a banner that was Houston Oilers, and I said to my dad, I want that. I was 5 years old. And my dad's like, yeah, come. And my dad was so pissed at the Colts because they had traded Johnny U to the Chargers. So my dad was pissed at the Colts, and he's like, all right, you want the banner, I'll get – and the Houston Oiler banner went up in my bedroom when I was 5 years old. And even though I was a Colts fan, my dad took me to Colts games, Burt Jones, I was always an Oiler guy. So when you came in as an Ed Block winner, we didn't have a team, right? You won Ed Block probably 93 or 94, right?
Yeah, I think it was my first or second year. Yeah, I think.
Okay. So you
get
your shoulder separated. You win this award. You come to Baltimore. I was sort of the wacky MC guy that entertained the families the night before on Sunday night. Joe Ehrman would come in and say a prayer, and I would come in and entertain everybody, and they would give you the marching orders for you went out and played football with the kids. I'm sure you did that at St. Vincent's. And you wore a tuxedo. We went to Martin's West. We had a beautiful meal. Thank you, Marty Resnick and Sammy Lamanti and everybody at Ed Block. But I got to know you a little bit because you were an Oiler, and I was like, man, I got to meet an Oiler. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and the next year, I swear to God, the next year, that's why I'm telling you the story. The next year, we get a team. And all of my Oiler gear, I mean, I had hats, shirts. I have Elvin Bethea's jersey. I had Dan Pastorini's helmet. Like, I'm an Oiler guy, right? Now we get the Ravens, and I didn't denounce the Oilers. I mean, I had been on the radio 5 years, Blaine. Everybody knew I was an Oiler fan. I was on the radio on the Bills' comeback game. Now, Frank Wright's going back to Buffalo this week, right? So all of these memories for me, you were a player.
I was still in college then, by the way.
Dude, you were the first Oiler I met because you came to Baltimore, and then the next Oiler I met, and I know this will break your heart, Greg Montgomery, who we lost recently.
Oh, yes, the punter.
Monty. And, he played for the Ravens. So you were an Oiler. You played here in 96 and then 97. And I'm going to do this screen share. You played in the last game ever played at Memorial Stadium. We ripped the stadium down after this. This was the last day, the last play, last game of the year. I had the Jester hat on. And I was on the field with my girlfriend then, Robin. Hi, Robin. How are you? And she took this picture of us. I went up to you. You remembered me. And, man, to have a picture, this is the only picture I have of me with somebody wearing Oiler stuff because you guys only wore Oiler one more year, then went Titan, right? So
right, because we were Tennessee Oilers in that picture.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. You had played that year in Vanderbilt, I believe.
Yes.
No, you played that year in Memphis.
97, it was in Memphis.
Memphis, 98 was Vanderbilt, right?
Yes.
So we took this picture, and this picture means the world to me. So welcome to the program, man. It's good to have you on, brother.
Oh man, that was a great picture, man. You know, I was such a young fellow at that time, man, and for you to pull that up was so exciting. It was a big topic yesterday on the Blaine and Mickey show here because Mickey, just like you, is which is my partner in crime on air, Mickey Ryan, is that he was a big Oiler jersey guy. So he loved the baby blue jerseys.
Columbia blue, as we call it.
Yeah, so he's a big jersey guy. So seeing that old jersey just got him going when he saw that picture.
Look out, football. Here we come. Houston Oilers #1. Come on now.
Yeah, love you blue. Yeah,
love you blue. Well, look, awesome, man, this thing's come a long way, right? So give everybody a little bit of your journey, because I put that picture up and somebody's like, is that Blaine Bishop? I'm like, that is Blaine Bishop, you know? And you and I know each other a little bit through Ed Block, and then we took this funny picture together 23 years ago now. Wow. And last week, 23 years, we shut the building down over there. My old girl, 33rd Street. My wife would tell me I couldn't drive up 33rd Street for a decade because it made me cry. My dad, you know, is gone. This thing's gone, right? Now I'm a little better with it. Time heals things. You have made a life in Nashville. That football team that you signed up with took you everywhere, into trailers in Memphis and practice at Vanderbilt. And now what the city is, what it's become. I mean, Eddie George, Steve McNair, who's on both sides of this. And this rivalry, give me a little player flavor from your side. Because, I mean, Al Del Greco, we talk about that game. I have Anthony Mitchell coming on this week talking about that game. Ray Lewis, Eddie George, all that. This is a pretty juicy rivalry for it not really being a divisional rivalry, right?
You're right. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the makeup of the organizations and how they make up their teams. And really, that's a physical, tough, mentally tough teams that embodies the city and states that they're in. And I think that's why once we hit heads, you know, we were a defensive team, run the football, and they were too. They were just a tad better than us on defense. They had a really good defense. And so I think that's what made it such compelling, head-to-head, because we believed we could beat them just like they believed we could beat them. And we knew whoever won that game was probably going to win the Super Bowl, especially in 2000 and 2001. And they came here and beat us, and that was just devastating. And the next year, which was a better team, they got us again. So now it's kind of flipped in today's society. And I don't even know if the players look at it that way, but they should, because I don't think they like us and we don't like them. It seems though the team on the road always kind of wins. That's kind of interesting too. You look back at the history there. With all their great players. So, and then they've had a few of our players at the end of their careers. Well, Derek Mason was not at the end of his career, but McNair was.
Samari.
Rolly Rowe. We called him Doorknob here because he was so skinny.
I love Samari, man. He was a good dude when he was here and, had some physical issues that took him off the field at the end. But, for all of you, when I go down there, I sense a real alumni presence. I mean, whenever I've walked into the stadium, I run into Mace. I've run into a bunch of players because something like a homecoming or alumni day or whatever. But they built something there. And I was an Oiler fan. And when Jimmy Schwartz picked me up after y'all beat us when you were out of the league, 03, 4, 5, whenever that was, when Zeus jumped and they eliminated us. Schwartzy was still the DC there. And he and I went to see Rush out in Antioch, out at the pavilion out there. And he picked me up at the airport. And he made me go down to the facility because he said to me, man, if I take you in the cafeteria, it's all Oiler stuff, bum and all that stuff's there. You'll love it. And he took me and he locked the door and made me watch the whole film of them beating us, a couple of years. So, this sort of the bad blood and the history and all that stuff, but getting up the mountain is something that almost happened last year for the Titans, kind of shockingly. But you talk about bad blood. They were dancing on the logo here, and I thought Harbaugh was going to go out there with his mask on and go whoop ass on 60 guys. And I don't know that the team even had his back.
Watch out now. Yeah, I don't know. He better watch out. Vrabel was out there. Vrabel's a big guy now. He's a 6'4" guy. I don't think – I know Harbaugh, too. He was coached special teams in the Eagles when I was there. Yeah, he's a feisty guy, but I don't think he would have barked up that tree with Burger.
But if it goes back, look, I'll have Coach on this week talking about the Banshee and the Spear, the game you're talking about, the famous Eddie George Ray Lewis game that you played in. Not here to rub any salt, but I remember before the game there was like video boards and Jeff Fisher. I mean, there was real. There was vibe, and now there's vibe here. Whether you think dancing on the star means anything, I'll tell you what, Derrick Henry kicking their ass meant something. And then, what happened here 2 months ago, I do think there is bad blood amongst the players. And I do think that given the stakes for the Ravens, Lamar's not won a playoff game. It's long 11 and a half months. If our franchise doesn't win this week, it's a massive setback for the franchise here. Whereas you guys get to the championship, I feel like you're a little on borrowed money.
Yeah, no question about it. And, dancing on the logo, it's funny, and it shows you who the Ravens are because the Titans have done that on every game that they've played in, not just against the Ravens, every team that they have played. So y'all like, hey, don't be dancing on our logo. And, hey, we would probably be the same way. So let's see. They're going to dance on the Titans logo. I'm sure of that. Just to get back at him.
See, I don't think so. I don't think John's that way. I disagree. I don't think –
you don't think he'll let him do
it?
No,
I think John really – like knowing John 12 years, John really has this religious thing in him that he's above the fray. I mean, and you know what? We've talked about it this week. If I call John, John, we don't do that. We don't do that, right? You know what I mean? Like I can see John say, we don't do that. We're not in college anymore, but maybe you're right. I would be shocked though. I don't see that as a John thing.
Right. Well, it may not be a John thing. It could be a player thing.
That Judon? Okay, I'll buy it. Marcus Peters, I'll buy that they'll go do it. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, they may say, hey, don't do this and let's be classy and all of that. But sometimes players said, nah, hey, we need to let them know that we're not playing. So they're a hot team right now. So they're dangerous right now. They scare me. I mean, when you rush for 400 yards in the National Football League in a game, that is tough to do. So the Titans defense is putrid, really, to be honest, against the run as well as the pass. So I'll be interested to see what the game plan will be to stop their running game, let alone their quarterback in the running game as well. I think they've been very fortunate before with Dean Pease, who knows the organization a little bit and had came up with a great game plan. I don't know if they can do that again and be fortunate enough to contain the running game. I think that's what they did. And then once their offense got up, then that's when they're at their best. But if they get behind, it's hit or miss with the Titans. Either they're going to get blown out or they're going to blow the team out. And it's two styles, really different styles, but the same accomplishment is trying to run the football.
Well, tell me about that, because tackling Derrick Henry and preparing for him, completely different animal than trying to figure out what Lamar's doing, especially now the Romans started to spread that thing out. It feels to me the more guys like you, fast, physical guys, that they can get away from the ball, that opens up even more space, just because if you're 6 feet, 8 feet further away from Lamar at snap, advantage Lamar. I would think advantage Ravens offense.
Oh, I completely agree with that. No doubt about it, because he'll be in open space more. And we all know he's a modern day Michael Vick, but maybe even a little bit better with his moves. So he's a slippery guy, let alone fast guy. In the open field, I don't think anybody wants to be, caught on the highlight reel, because he will be a human highlight reel when he gets in space. So I don't think any of the Titans, even the secondary, want to see that happen. Because they'll be at a disadvantage. But what you have to do is just swarm to the football, use the sideline as an extra man. So you're not out there with 11 guys, you're out there with 13 guys. And so I think they're going to try to feed him to the sideline and stay inside out on the football. And hopefully you have enough juice to get him down, or he has to run towards the sideline and get out of bounds.
Well, Derrick Henry, it's not much, right? You can block it up, you can scheme it up, then you have to tackle him, right? Like you can get to him, but you might not get him down the first, one hit, first guy, arm tackle. That's how he gets to 250 some yards. He could have had 300 on Sunday if he tried. If that was their goal, it was their goal to get to 2,000. It felt like if it was their goal to run him for 300, they could have done it.
Yeah, and I don't think the goal was to get to 1,000. I think the goal was just to win the football game, and just so happened he just had great success against the Texans. And their defense isn't very good anyway. They're nothing like the Ravens' defense, so I don't expect that. Really, to really contain Derrick Henry, you have to get him early in the downs, early when he gets the ball. And if you get penetration into the backfield, he's not the same player. Let alone you don't want him just to run downhill on your secondary and get to the second level, and then nobody wants to tackle because he has the speed to run by you, and he also has, even though he's huge, he's a 245 guy, 6'3", 6'4", or he can run you over with a head of steam. So you don't want him to run through creases without being touched and slowed down. So yeah, I think that's the way to get after him, and then force Tannehill to actually beat you, and I think he can. I think he's a better thrower than people want to give him credit for, but that's not what they want to do. They want to have a balanced offense where if you look at the stats, usually typically after every game, their run-pass ratio is almost exactly the same. They throw for 28 and they've run for 28 or something like that. They're pretty even though everybody thinks Derrick Henry. When they look at the end of the game, they've thrown the ball just as much as they've run the ball.
He's Blaine Bishop. You can follow him out on Twitter. He's also doing a radio gig at 104.5 when it does that every day, doing the sports radio thing. I trained him up pretty good at that Ed Block event about 27 years ago down in Nashville. How's the city? I mean, this is your home. The bombing on Christmas took us all back. And I think you know this. I think I probably was on your show 10 years ago. When we came in for that playoff game back in 2009, after McNair had been in Baltimore, McNair joined me for an event down in Limelight that we did for Ronald McDonald House the last time I saw Steve alive. And then the next day we took over Graham Central Station. And I know you know where that is, right by the spaghetti warehouse and the factory and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's exactly where the bomb – I learned Christmas afternoon when I looked at where it was and I realized, oh, my God, that's where we threw our party, a place I've walked by 500 times in 30 years I've been going to Nashville, up the Hooters. And we'd usually walk across that beautiful park over to Monell's and, past the biscuits and the fried chicken for lunch and whatnot. I mean, I love your town. I'm not coming in this week primarily because of COVID and that circumstance, but I don't know that I need to see that hole in the ground. I mean, that's – that hurts me. I can't imagine for the people that are there.
Yeah, we're very blessed. I mean, besides COVID, which everybody is dealing with, and then having tornadoes hit here even during the summertime, and then now the bomb. It was kind of surprising that something like that happened. Even the person who lost his life, who did the bomb, actually had a warning signal to let everybody know. And I think the whole downtown was very fortunate. Those buildings were built a long time ago and they were bomb resistant, let's say. So it really contained it to that area. It could have been much more massive if they weren't. It still was bad, don't get me wrong, but it could have been much worse, and no one else was injured. So we're very blessed at that. And I was shocked, but the city has grown since the Titans and the Predators have come to Nashville. And when you come at some point, you'll see all the cranes and all the new buildings that they've built. And hopefully at some point, maybe it can get to the point where you can have a Super Bowl here. I think that's the next step, try to get to there. It may be a 5 to 10 year window, but
I'd sign up for that, Blaine. I'd be all right with that. I'd be all right. Yeah. I mean, I've been everywhere. You and I've lived for a week in most of these cities, the last 20 years, give or take, right? I mean, I was at your Super Bowl down in Atlanta. We're freezing my ass off in that tent up in Buckhead with you guys, man.
Man, that freezing stuff.
Short week. I remember all of that. But, week in Nashville, man, Nashville would throw down. You guys did a nice job with the draft, right?
Yeah, we had the draft, and that was awesome. And that's where the first thought about having a Super Bowl at some point. If Indianapolis can have a Super Bowl, why not Nashville?
All right. I like what you're thinking. So you've already called the Titans defense putrid. That was your quote. I'm like, yes. I'm putting that on Twitter.
Yes.
Putrid. You don't expect them to win Sunday, or do you?
Well, I think it's all predicated on if the defense can be opportunistic. And that means getting turnovers. Here's what we figured out about the Titans defense. All they need is 3 stops during a game. If the offense does what it's done this whole season, that's put up 30 points. So if you put up 30 points and you get 3 stops, whether it be fumble, interception, or 3 and out, or 6 and out, or how many ever
Or
down.
making the Ravens kick 3 field goals, in the red zone instead, right?
So, but the offense has to, do its job, and you guys have a great defense. So I just don't know if they'll have enough. I'm always surprised when they beat you guys these last 2 times. I would have predicted that the Ravens were going to win those games, especially the second time. The first one, they got on a run and they got hot, and they were going kind of like where you guys are now.
Yeah, I like the way we're playing right now. I mean, I'm going to be shocked if we're not playing football. I have a flight to Kansas City next week because, that I just – at some point,
so you know they're going to win.
Well, you prepare for success, Blaine. You know that your whole life, You got to be prepared for that opportunity. With the preparation and luck, right? Opportunity and preparation is luck, right? So, and they have barbecue there too. And their COVID rate's much lower. And it's a week deeper into the plus. I thought like this, if I'm going to come in this week and we're going to lose, why the hell am I going to be there? If they're going to win, I'll just meet them in Kansas City. But look, there's no access to players. There's no access to anything. It's not fun being in empty stadiums. I went the first couple trips of the year. I went to Houston. I went to Philly and Washington. And then I just stopped. I'm like, I would rather be on the couch with my cat because I'm not getting enough from being at other than who's injured on the bench and who's fighting with who on the bench or whatever. Most of the rest on television, I'm getting a better seat. I expect them to win because I think it's their time, and I think they're coming together, and I think they're getting Calais Campbell back. They're getting Jimmy Smith back. And I think they're a better team. I don't think they're a better team than Kansas City or Buffalo right now. They're going to have to go prove that to me, but I think they're a better team.
Yeah. What do you think the score is going to be? Drop it down. What's the score? I mean, what's Vegas saying? What are they saying?
Well, Vegas is saying 3.5, right? And Vegas is saying high line. Look, I think the Ravens are going to score a lot. To me, it's about – and Blaine, you can speak to this. When they told me they're going to run an RPO offense, I thought there were always going to be ball communication issues. I thought that this was going to be the kind of offense that would fumble the ball once a game or like that, just on center snap, shotgun. Do you have it? Do I have it? Nobody has it. Those kinds of things.
Right.
They haven't done a lot of that. I mean, and Lamar's had 2 seasons where that has not been an issue. Now, running back getting popped, strips, punching the ball. They do a lot more punching of the ball, as you know, with Marlon Humphrey. That's the way they tackle. That's not a good way to tackle Derrick Henry, in my opinion. But, if they pop Derrick Henry twice for fumbles and they run their offense, they can win 51-14, right? I mean, the Ravens are capable of doing that. I think the Ravens are going to run up and down the field. Field goals versus turnovers or converting into 7 points. That's where Lamar's been so deadly, is that once they get inside the 40 and they get rolling and they're in 2nd and 2 and they're getting 8 yards on first down, usually they score. They score a touchdown. They don't peter out. They don't fumble the ball at the 5-yard line. They don't go on 4th down and not make it like they did a couple of times last year against you. So all of the things that could ever go wrong went wrong in that Tennessee game. But now watching them over 2 seasons, other than the month of November where Lamar didn't look healthy to me. They weren't running. COVID. They weren't looking to run. When you saw us, they were a bad football team. The last 5 weeks, they've really rounded in. I didn't think they could win a Super Bowl without Ronnie Stanley. I still don't really think they're going to win the Super Bowl. But I think they can win a game. They need to win a game. They need to win this game. And this game is a nice setup for them. It's better to be coming to Nashville than to be going to Kansas City this week or going to Buffalo.
Right. I mean, I don't think either team was ready for that, and I think they got to continue to get hot. And being hot is winning this game. How much do you think that the tight ends will be involved in the passing game? Because that's kind of the crutch of Jackson. And if the Titans can't contain, the tight ends, which they've lost Jayon Brown and they've lost Taylor Lewan too on the offensive side, just like you guys have lost, Stanley. So, 2 really great offensive tackles in the National Football League, some of the best. I would say Stanley's just a tad little bit better. So, man, it's going to be interesting to see whose will wins this game. Who's going to will? Who's going to break?
It's good to see my boy Questenberry running around out there too. So I'll give him a shout out. He's an old friend of mine,
He's done
and a survivor
job.
as well. Great story, and I hope to get him on at some point during the off season. You know, Blaine, for me, the tight end thing with Andrews, they got rid of Hayden Hurst last year. Then Boyle got hurt, which really affected their ability to run. They retooled everything, and I really give Greg Roman a lot of credit. I mean, the Ravens are well coached, but more than that, over the last month, I think they looked at all of these games as we've got the better team. We need to go out and impose our will, and they almost played it like good, solid preseason football. You know, they went out, they executed, they didn't make mistakes, they didn't fumble. They had good D&Ds, you know, and played solid defense the last month against subpar competition for the most part. This is going to be the real test for them. Another team that had to win to get in, a team that runs the ball well, a team that has their number, and really the history of all of this stuff. There's a lot riding for Lamar to not have to go around for another 11 and a half months and say I haven't won a playoff game. So, big game. Hey, dude.
I got to ask you one more thing, though, real quick.
Sure.
What is the kryptonite for the Ravens?
Kansas City Chiefs.
According to Lamar. Everybody, they're right? Okay, that's everybody.
I think the kryptonite for the Ravens is really making mistakes. Like, again, if they're errant on first down, if they're in 1st and 20, if they're negative yards on first down, if they're getting chippy and trying to pass on first down, now they're in 2nd and 10. All bad down and distances for them have been not so good. They're not good on 3rd and 13. And if they get themselves in 3rd and 13, they're going to be punting. Or they're going to be throwing it around, and then a guy like you goes up and gets it, and then bad things happen. And I saw that in November. And Lamar was not accurate. Lamar's not accurate. Like, I would not view him as always accurate. He's accurate some weeks. And the receivers have dropped a lot of balls too. So when they were losing that's their kryptonite. Dropping balls, penalties, bad down and distances, bad handoff exchanges. Turnovers are always kryptonite, right? So, gotcha. Blaine, I love you. I appreciate you, man. You're an Oiler. That'll always mean the world to me. But you are the opponent. You must go down hard this week. So I hope we're playing football on Monday. And I really hope we get together and go to a hockey game and get a steak on a strip in Broadway one day, go out to the West End, do it up right, and get back down to Nashville. And I hope you get that Super Bowl down there. I hope we're there to celebrate with you, man. Yeah, man. But just rest assured, I'm still a Titan. Tighten up, and they're going to win. The Hitman, once and always. There he goes, Blaine Bishop. You can follow him out on Twitter as well as at 104.5 The Zone in Nashville, Tennessee, where I'm hoping to get back down there and do a little I like it, I love it, I want some more of it with some Predators hockey. Maybe go to the Ryman and see Bryan Adams like I once did, or Sheryl Crow. Maybe, hopefully, someday soon. We are WNST.net, AM 50. Baltimore positive. Well, yeah, we are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore. And I tell you what, Blaine Bishop just said it. We are Baltimore positive.